So the big question is this: how can runners like you, who aren't professional athletes or paid sponsored runners, avoid injury and increase athletic performance to enjoy running race events for the rest of your life without wasting money on trends or using dangerous painkiller drugs? That is the question. And on hashtag Run Pain Free Podcast, your host, sports biomechanics, athletic injury correction, and conditioning expert, Jessica Marie Rose Leggio, gives you the answers.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Run Pain Free Podcast. I am your host, Jessica Marie Rose Leggio, sports biomechanics, athletic injury correction, and conditioning expert. And this podcast is brought to you by the 2020 Run Pain Free Marathon Training Summit, the virtual conference for runners and marathoners around the world. And the summit will be from August 25th to August 27th. Go get your ticket right now, marathontrainingsummit.com. And if you don't know what a summit is, it is a meeting of the minds and leadership and experts. That's what it is by definition, and that's what it is for Run Pain Free. Nothing but experts and the top people that you need to hear from, you want to hear from. And today I'm giving you a little tidbit on the inside. We have spoken with Sara Hall, professional runner Sara Hall. We spoke with her specifically on running with intention. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you a little tidbit about her. Go on over to marathontrainingsummit.com and make sure that you are getting your ticket. Get it now. The longer you wait, the more expensive it gets. I'm just letting you know. Also, you'll see over there everybody that we spoke to, but let's get into Sara Hall. So running with intention, again, something that I have been talking about since January 2020, way before the world took a hit. I was talking about you all making sure you get back to running for yourselves, getting back to your why, and at least taking one day a week to run by yourself, to check your own athleticism level, check where you're at mentally, listen to yourself, hear yourself, and get all the noise out of your runs. And so the world being in the position that it's in, definitely enforced this. And even more important that I spoke with Sara Hall on this specific topic on running with intention. And she says knowing your why is super important, especially when you encounter setbacks or injuries. Now, you are on the right podcast talking about that, right? So you all need to take out a book and write some notes, or your phone, whatever you take notes on when you're listening to Sara Hall's interview. She speaks very openly from a very emotional and vulnerable place, and I applaud her for that, because so many people don't do that. So many people are very worried about what people think about them, and her maturity in that alone is so, it's not inspiring, it's educating, honestly. It's not that she's definitely inspiring, but I want to just lean on how much more educating it is in being that honest with yourself and being okay with what your thoughts are singularly and not having to follow a crowd. She talks about that very specifically. And I really found it helpful for the current running community and where the running community has gone and where it's grown to over the past 5 years. It's had a huge surge, and anytime you have a huge surge, things go awry and intentions go awry. And I always say you better know why you run, because when you lose why you're running, when you get injured, you'll remember real quick. Why you can't run will express and expose to you why you were running in the first place. And if you think you were upset you got hurt, wait till you remember why you were running and you can't run. So it's important that you know all the time why you are running. What is your why? What is your reasoning? Keep it back to yourself. Get back to yourself. It's a question I ask every person I've ever interviewed. I ask them that the first time. I ask all of my runners that come to me, anybody in sports, I ask them why they do what their sport is every time, because I need to understand what I'm dealing with. So it's a big thing for me. I have to understand what it means to you emotionally so I know what I'm dealing with off the bat. So this is an important question. I always find it insightful. I find it inspiring. I love hearing everybody's whys because they're so different. Some are super complex, some are super simple. And in all honesty, they all come back to me and they say, I actually haven't been asked that question, so I forgot why I ran. Or I actually forgot why I started, and thank you for reminding me. I've gotten that a lot. From professionals, I've gotten that. It's just not something people think about because it's evolving and it changes over time. And Sara really talks about how you always need to make sure you're in tune with your why, even if it's evolving, even if it's changing. You have to understand that. Where are you going to hear what she's talking about? MarathonTrainingSummit.com. That's where you got to go. Now, there's a first part and there's a second part. There's a free part and an advanced part. You have to go on over to MarathonTrainingSummit.com to make sure you get into the advanced part, so you get all of the information and all of her guides, which happens in the advanced session, on how to implement certain things into your training and into your running, and how running has really, again, flowed over into her normal life, her regular life, and with her children, her girls, and really all-encompassing in how she looks at herself when it comes to running in competition and in getting better, and what her body can do and what she wants her body to do and how she trains and what she looks for in her training. And it always is very centered, always very centered. And it's about her, not about anybody else. And it took her a while to get there, but it's about her. And all of you runners can listen to that and learn from that. We can all listen from that and learn from that. And because of everybody running for themselves right now, I've been talking about it a lot in my lives early on in the year and in sessions with our clients here in our academy, Run Pain Free Academy. And I talk about it because it's not norm. It's not the norm for people to run by themselves. It's become a culture of community, camaraderie, and big gatherings and what have you, and we cannot have that right now. We just cannot have that. So it makes you go back to yourself. I am a self-proclaimed queen of turning negatives into positives, and I've been saying from jump, this is a time for you to get back to yourself, a time for you to reassess yourself. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? What are your goals? What are you running for? Recheck that. I've been saying that from jump. So I've never seen this as a bad thing. I do get that it is upsetting and frustrating to not be able to hang out with your crew and your friends and go running and all these things. But there really is something to be said about how much noise has been created around the community. And this is a great way to quiet that and really get back to your why. So when 2021 comes around and races resume, you're running your best races ever, your healthiest races ever. The noise doesn't get to you. You know how to block it out because you've conditioned that now. That's what the Marathon Training Summit is for. It's for you to be able to recondition your running mentally, emotionally, and physically, so that the noise doesn't redirect you or deter you from your goals. And you don't start doing this one and this one and this race and this race and this person's training and this person's training and forget why you're running, and then you get injured doing everybody else's stuff. That's how that happens. She talks about really running with intention and making sure why you're running is why you're running. Whenever you're running for anything other than that why, it becomes a problem. And Sara Hall talks about that heavily. MarathonTrainingSummit.com. Go get your ticket. Listen to it. She also talks about injuries and setbacks and how you can really use that as intention to pay more attention to your body, which I think you've heard me say a million times. Injuries, aches and pains are all feedback. Something's been wrong. You've been ignoring it. That's a mindset, by the way. You've been ignoring it, and your body was like, oh, really? Let me show you how much you're not going to ignore me anymore. And that's it. Now you're down and out, right? So then you come see Run Pain Free and you get fixed. But while you're getting fixed, we get into the root of why you got injured in the first place and what was playing around you at the same time and what contributing factors may have come into it that you're not aware of. And we talked about that with Sara also. Like, was she unaware of negative aspects that were actually affecting her running negatively that she wasn't aware of until after it was already having a negative effect on her? We talk about that specifically. So again, advanced sessions, MarathonTrainingSummit.com. You need to have intentions with your running so you can grow and evolve. If you're not running with intentions, you're running on a hamster wheel. I'm saying that. I'm going to say that. I've been saying that. I'll continue to say that. Because you have to take into account how you're looking to run. If you're just running to run for fun, that's totally fine. You're still being athletic and you have to train your body a certain way to do that. Even just to do it for fun, you have to train your body to do that. There is. It's an athletic event. It's extremely athletic. It is extremely demanding. There is a lot of science behind the heart and lung demands that it goes through for you to be able to run, and you just think you're out there having fun and doing stuff. No, there's a lot of stuff happening for you to be able to do that. There's kidney functions that are happening. Your liver's involved. You have lung and heart and pulmonary systems and cardiovascular systems doing stuff you have no idea about. So as much as you want to be fun about it, that's nice. You have to train your body and feed your body a certain way to do that. You have to. So when you're running with intention, that's all very obvious. That's all very in your face. When you're not running with intention, that goes away. That goes awry. And then what happens? You get hurt. You get hurt, or something happens with your systems. Maybe your kidneys get affected. Maybe your lung conditioning goes down. Your endurance goes down because you're not training properly and you're sucking wind. Yeah, or you're not eating properly, so now maybe you're losing muscle because you're eating that up, because you're not having enough carbohydrates in your store, you're not having glycogen stores, and so you're not using things properly, and everything is tearing down inside for you to run for fun. As much as it's fun, intentions matter. And when you're running with intentions, you're never unaware of that. So I always encourage people to write it down, put it somewhere. Put it in your phone somewhere that you see every day when you're about to go on a run. Or say it to yourself, I'm running for XYZ, right before you put on your Strava to go out the door. That's how you remember to run with intentions. Get that calendar I told you to get, that big calendar that you can write in the beginning of the year. If you didn't hear that podcast, go look for it, runpainfreepodcast.com. Go look for it. So that when you go into the marathontrainingsummit.com, you can apply all of these things to that calendar I told you to create in the first place. Intention. Be intentful. It is so much easier when you put effort to yourself. When you don't put effort to yourself, that's when things become really hard. That's when injuries come. That's when deficiencies come. That's when starving comes. That's when your body is like pulling at straws to let you run, and then you have a nerve to curse your body out when it doesn't perform. Run with intentions. Sara Hall talks about it. marathontrainingsummit.com with a very big vulnerability when it comes to her personal story and why she runs and what she's done with it. She's a professional competing runner. Just this past summer, she ran the Women's Shape Half, and she won it, by the way. And I just so happened to be training in Central Park because it was Saturday and I work. And the race ran by me, and I took my camera out. I had my camera out, and I actually videoed her, and she ran right by me. And I was so happy I had that footage that I could send to her and show her, because she was cooking, boy. Full foot function, by the way. She was cooking. And it was really awesome to see her run by because she won that race. And it was, a lot of professional women say it's their favorite race to run. And that it was just, they feel it's very emotional, and the camaraderie is awesome, and all the women there is amazing. So it was really nice to be able to see that real time, and it wasn't on purpose because I was working. I was with a couple of runners, and see her zoom by was pretty dope, I have to say. So it was also a nice little added bonus for me to be able to talk with her specifically, because I've seen her run, and professionals are so fast, they zoom right by. So it's very rare that you get to see them and then talk to them. So it was really awesome to connect the two. But again, you can find all this out for yourself at marathontrainingsummit.com. I'm serious. So again, running with intentions is serious. It's what's going to keep you aware of your body and in line with your body in terms of where it's at physically and health-wise. Not only like mentally and emotionally, but physically and health-wise. Your self-awareness is so much more available to you when you're running with intentions. And Sara Hall talks about that. We all need that. We all need to be on top of that to be our best and to grow in running, even if you're running for fun. From running for fun to running to try to be an elite, if that's your goal right now and you're listening to me, you need to run with your intention. It's not all about winning. I have to say that because professional athletes say that. When that's taken off the table and they run for their own true reason of why they're running with intention, the results change. The results change. And I encourage you specifically, if you're listening to this and you want to be an elite and you're trying to be a competitive runner, and that's your goal, you really need to listen to these specific interviews that we have in there from professional runners. You really need to get into the advanced sessions. MarathonTrainingSummit.com. It's a meeting of the minds of leaders in the industry where you all are going to gain such insight from to go into the next running season a totally different athlete, totally different mindset, less noise, and more intention. I hope you had an amazing time with me right quick. Sara Hall, MarathonTrainingSummit.com. Talk to you later.
You're listening to the Run Pain Free podcast, brought to you by the Run Pain Free Academy, featuring biomechanics, athletic injury correction, and conditioning expert Jessica Marie Rose Lecchio.
Subscribe to us as you leave a positive review on iTunes.